It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome. It's the Jill on Money Show, the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. How do we do that? I'm glad you asked. We have you go to our website, jillonmoney.com. When you're there, there is a Contact Us button in the upper right-hand corner. You click the button, you complete the form, and if you wish to join us via audio, just check that box. If not, that's okay. We do email segments. That's fine as well. And if you want to check out our great video content, you've got to click on the link that will bring you to our YouTube show. It's called Jill on Money, powered by the Compound. You can get to it very easily, either through YouTube or just go on the link, and we've got our program right there. Also, while you are on the website, you should check out our free weekly newsletter. Executive producer extraordinaire Mark Talercio does a great job. He compiles stories throughout the week. The email goes out on Fridays. You're up to date. You're ready to go. And it's like a little bit of a warm-up before you get to the weekend and this program. And if you do miss any part of this program, we do have it on the website, so check it out there. In other words, just bookmark our website, jillonmoney.com, and there's always fresh new content there. It's very exciting. While you're on the website, you must check out our subscription service. It's called Jill on Money Live. This is so cool because every quarter we do live webinars, and the next one's coming up in a few days on March 19th. Cal Newport, he is a best-selling author of a couple of different books, Digital Minimalism, Deep Work. We had him on for both of those books. His new book is just out, Slow Productivity, The Lost Art of Accomplishment Without Burnout. This is right up your alley. I know it, but you must pay the $35 for the full year ahead in order to join us for that March 19th webinar with Cal Newport. Okay, time to get to the show. And let's start with Anne from Connecticut. Hello, Anne. How are you?
Hi, Jill. How are you?
Great. What's happening? What can we do for you?
Okay, so I'm feeling like I'm in a bit of a financial rut. I am 50. My husband is 51. We both are in the medical fields, and my husband has definitely been, the breadwinner the last 15 years, I would say. We have 3 children, 2 teenagers, and a 10-year-old. And
I'm exhausted already.
Yeah.
2 teenagers and a 10-year-old.
Yes. And the older teenager is on the spectrum. So that has thrown a wrench in my working.
Because you have to be more available, so you got to cut back on your hours, et cetera.
Exactly. So I actually took like a 7-8 year time off from work so I could really be home and fully vested in raising the kids.
Hold on. 7 to 8 year time off? Like what? Like that's not a sabbatical. You stopped working 7 or 8 years ago. Are you working again?
Yes. I've been working the last 5 to 6 years, and every year my schedule is getting more and more busy. You know, I'm picking up more and more cases. So it's
as the kid is sort of more established and okay to be, okay, I gotcha.
But I feel like it really threw a wrench in our savings and trying to kind of get ahead in retirement savings, college savings, and paying off student loan debt.
Yeah. Well, Anne, you know what? That's life, right? Like your life took priority. And even though when you said you started off with a financial rut, we're going to reframe that because it's not so much a financial rut. It's just that, you had a bit of, you had life taking over, and life took over, and we're going to get you back on track. Like, well, no judgments here. So right now, how much are you earning?
I earn about $40,000 a year. My husband earns about, it varies, between $230 and $250 a year.
Okay. If I kind of big picture this, do you know how much money you need to live on? Like you have almost $300,000 a year of income, but do you know what your actual expenses are?
Per month, I'll be honest, he handles a lot of the finances. I mean, our mortgage is probably $4,300 a month with taxes. I know we do pay by credit card. We have no outstanding credit card debt. We pay the bills every month. We're very good about that. But our credit card bills can range from 5,000-6,000 to 7,000, 8,000. It depends.
Yeah, I get you. But like that's actually not a bad back of the envelope way to get to the expense level, which is, you know what the house costs, you know what your bills are. So, are you spending 12 grand a month? Probably, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you guys both making retirement plan contributions now?
So I was very good early in my career, with trying to be really good about that. That's one thing my parents instilled in me is, put away for retirement early. But again, I am the bigger saver than my husband. He didn't really seem to feel not the importance of it, but I don't think he really was thinking long term like I was all along.
Did he grow up with money? Is that why?
He did not grow up with money.
I mean, the poor people are supposed to be able to be like, I'm hyper focused on saving, but that was not him, huh?
Like, live in the moment.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let me go back to this. So let's go into, are you both making retirement contributions
so now we're both making retirement contributions. His does a 4% match, which he does 4% of his salary every week. They match and it's pre-tax. There's no option for a Roth.
How much is in there?
He just started it last year when he turned 50. I was like, we have to get on board with this. So there's about 32,000 in that right now.
Okay. And that's his current plan and no old plans that are hanging out, right?
He has one pre-tax plan from a prior employer that only has about 8,000 in it.
Okay. And so he's putting 4% in, they match 4%, and that's it, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. You are the good saver. So what do you have in retirement assets?
It's more. I mean, my job pays a heck of a lot less than his. So I've accrued about 153,000 in one 403B. And then I have a second one from another job that has about 32,000 in it. Those are both pre-tax.
Okay. And right now on the 40,000, are you making retirement contributions or not?
Yes, I am. So I have the option of a Roth or a pre-tax. Did the pre-tax, but I'm thinking since my husband has pre-tax and his contributions, it might be smart for me to do Roth instead.
Hang on before we get to that, because I have other things that I'm going to have to ask you about. I have certain suspicions about other things that are going on. When we started this conversation, you said something about student loans. Tell me about that.
He had $250,000 student loans from medical school. Yes. So we have that down to just under 30,000.
Holy smokes, he did great.
Yeah, so he's really tried to be diligent making extra payments on that.
Okay. And what's the interest rate on that medical school debt?
I think it's in the 3 range. He did like a private loan, like a refinance or whatever, several years back. So it's under 4%.
That's great. We'll get back to Ann in just a minute. If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the show that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. We do that by asking you to pose your financial questions to us. Just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. You can either do an email or you can come on the program with us. We don't care, but I don't know. I actually do care. I'd love you to join us if possible. You can always change your name. It's okay. We can anonymize you. Also, while you're on the website, we've got other free stuff for you to check out. There's the resources section. There's videos, a lot of my appearances on CBS Mornings that are in our video section. And if you've got a few bucks, and you haven't gone crazy joining Jill on Money Live for that whopping $35, you can always buy my book, The Great Money Reset. It's out in paperback. And if you're contemplating a change in your life and you want to make sure that you've got some guardrails up so you don't blow apart your whole financial life in the process, The Great Money Reset is for you. So it's on the website. Just click through or just go to your bookseller of choice. That's up to you. I don't want to get in the way of you and your bookseller. Okay, right now, we are going back to Anne, who's on the line from Connecticut. She said she feels like she's in a financial rut. Now, what about just money in the bank?
Yeah, so that varies. We always are really good about claiming single zero on our taxes because we use it as like a savings for at the end of the year. We get back a nice return. So that usually goes right into like a joint savings account that we have, kind of like our safety fund. And if anything big comes up on the house or, God forbid, we do have like a large deductible usually for our medical bills. So that we always like to have extra money for that. We also have a health savings account.
But you didn't tell me how much money's in the emergency in that savings account.
It varies. I mean, I would say anywhere between 30 to 50,000, depending on.
Okay. Got it. And how much is in the HSA right now?
I'd say about $5 or $6 grand. We use it for my son, for his medical bills and braces for the kids, all that good stuff.
What? Your children weren't born with perfect teeth? That's outrageous. Now, when you talk about the 3 kids, 2 teens, 1 10-year-old, are you already saving for college or do you want to save for college?
No, I have been saving. That's been, again, it's my job, but I feel like a failure because I hear people calling up and they're like, they have so much money saved for college. I've accrued between the 3 of them combined $100,000.
Can I just say, why are you making this judgment? I want everyone to hear this for a second because I want to be clear with Anne and with all of you. Just because someone else has been able to save has it should not impact you and what you have done. 100,000. I'm so delighted. I would never have thought it was that much money. I really wouldn't. So I am so happy that is the money that you have. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So please take yourself off the hook a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's hard because we live in a very, everybody's very competitive here and who's going to what school and who's doing what. And we try to be very level-headed. We went to college. We didn't go away to school. We stayed close to home. We did was like the best, financial option that we had at the time. And, my husband is still reeling from the debts of medical school, right? So it's like we realize we don't want to put our kids in that position. So I feel very guilty. Like I want to help them as much as I can. But I'm also thinking I'm 50. What's going to happen in retirement? Am I going to be comfortable? Am I going to be able, I'm going to hit a point eventually where I can't work anymore. And will I be able to, be comfortable?
Yeah. I mean, listen, these are all important parts of the planning process. They're important questions to ask. So I just want to I can't emphasize enough that for all of you nutbags out there like Anne, that you live in these competitive places, probably because they all have good school systems. And then when you live in a good school system, then the parents and then the kids by extension are all very competitive. Mark, it reminds me about our friend who I was sending his kids to private school. And I'm like, why don't you just move to Queens and live a life that's like with normal people who don't think that having $100,000 in college savings is a failure. Like you guys, I get it. You've chosen things for your kids, but you've put so much pressure on yourselves. And, listen, even without having a son that required more of your attention, having somebody who graduates with $250,000 of medical school debt is just enormous. So it's not a failure. You're not in a financial rut. There are choices you made that require you to kind of get a little bit busier right now. And that's okay, because you're not telling me, oh, I just want to retire in 3 years. We're probably coming to the point in your lives where you're making good money and your income will continue. I just want to put that out there. Okay. That's what I need to say. So no more of the negativity. It's like my friends on Peloton. They don't like when you have a username that's negative, like I'm so fat. No. It's like, I want to be healthy. How about that? Let's turn it around. So we want to get you financially healthy. So, okay. Now, in addition to the picture that you've laid out, you own a home. What is that home worth?
If you listen to Zillow, right, it's about $1 million. We owe about $450 on it.
Okay. And the interest rate on the mortgage?
It's 3.75. We refinanced.
Great. Perfect. That's great. So besides the outstanding student loan debt, there's no other debt, right?
No other debt. No.
Okay. And your husband's monthly payment on that debt is how much about?
For the student loan,
yeah,
it's between $300 and $400.
Okay, reasonable. And when is he due to pay that off? What's the time horizon?
That I don't know. I mean, he's been out 20. I think it was a 30-year.
Jesus.
Yeah. So he's been working over 20 years now. So
My God.
he's yeah.
Are we going to get any free medical advice at the end of this call?
Absolutely.
Oh, great, perfect. Okay, so a few questions now. So you are making contributions to your 403B. He's putting 4% into his.
Yes.
How much are you putting into the college savings fund?
I just kind of like look at my account and I try to make payments. Like every couple of months, I'll put in $1,000 or $2,000, into each. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of chunks up. I know like last year, maybe I put in $15,000 between the 3 kids. As I'm working more, I'm trying to put in more. I do
great.
About 30%. I think it's 30% of every paycheck of mine goes into retirement. And like I said, I have that option of Roth or pre-tax. Right now, I am in pre-tax.
Okay. If I look at your cash flow, sort of take a big step back, and you look at all the stuff you're doing, including the ad hoc college savings, the $300 or $400 a month for the student loans, the mortgage, the expenses. Now, you're not going into further debt, so you're doing okay. I guess my question to you is, how does the cash flow feel to you guys day to day?
It's tight. I hear it from my husband all the time that, groceries are through the roof and, oil and heat, everything. It's just like everything keeps going up. Like I know he stresses over it, but, that's not to say that we couldn't cut back a little bit. We like to eat out. We usually take like one vacation a year, nothing extravagant, but we like to do that with the family. I don't think we live a outrageous life by any capacity, but kids are expensive. The sports.
I know, damn kids.
We have.
What were you thinking with those kids?
I know. But it's outrageous, that they're all in sports and all of that. It's a lot every month, But we feel it's an important part of their for not just for athleticism, but for the other positive parts of being on a sports team and making friends and whatnot.
We'll get back to Ann in just a minute. We don't like ruts, but if you feel like maybe you need a little guidance, it doesn't have to be something major. It can be something major. Happy to talk about something big going on in your life. But if there is something that is broadly causing you a little consternation, we'd love to hear from you. All you need to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and let us know if you'd like to join us on the air. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are answering your financial questions. If you have one, all you need to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Now, you're listening to this show, and we are so grateful for that, but we've got other programming as well. We have 2 podcasts. One is called Jill on Money. One is called Money Watch, and you can get them wherever you get podcasts. You can go to the Odyssey app. You can go to Amazon, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever it is. But we also have links to those podcasts on our website, so you can check that out. We have a video show. It's a YouTube show called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. If you're a YouTube lover, and who isn't, because you kind of get sucked into that ecosystem, you can check us out there. And honestly, if you haven't gotten into the podcasting world, it's so easy to do. It really is. All you need to figure out is whatever podcasting app you want. You download it on your device. Then you subscribe to the show that you want to listen to. And it's sort of like instant radio whenever you want it. So you can have Jill on Money or Money Watch or me and Mark in general whenever you want it on demand. It's all your own programming. It's kind of cool. Join the podcast universe and start with Jill on Money. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back to Anne. She is on the line from Connecticut. So here's the question that I guess we need to think about. We want to be clear that you have, you're okay. Just take a deep breath. You're willing to work for a while, right? I mean, you guys have jobs where you're going to be able to work.
Yes, we both talked about that last night. Like, he envisions working till 70 and then even maybe longer. The career that he chose, it's a profession where he could work a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. And I look young for my age. I feel young for my age. I don't anticipate I think I'm probably going to work until I'm 70.
Okay, that's great. And neither of you would be entitled to a pension, right?
No pension. No.
Okay. But you would work till you're 70. And what do you think is, for you, you're making 40 now. I know you have a 10-year-old, but let's say that it's 8 years from now and your youngest one's in college, what do you think, if you were working full time, kind of going for it right now, what would your income be approximately?
At full time, probably close to 100,000.
So if you were working full time, and I'm sure that's probably going to happen more like when she gets to be a teenager, because she didn't want to have nothing to do with you. Right. So if in 5 years, from 55 to 70, you're making closer to more like 100, and he's making his 250. Now you're making 350, and now you're getting your kids through college, and things are going okay, and the loan for the student loan is going to get paid off, and then you're going to start cranking on your retirement. And you can start doing it now. I don't think that you can put a lot more money in right now. I just don't. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of free cash flow.
No, things are definitely tight. I feel like, I think if I asked my husband to put away any more, I think it would totally stress him out.
So the older teen who's on the spectrum, is this a college-bound kid or not?
Well, we're discussing that. It's looking like community college, which at the moment is free, which is great. So it would be a good way to kind of try to see how he does there. So that's positive. Beyond that, I'm not quite sure where his career path is going to go. The other two, I do see wanting to go to a 4-year college.
Would you feel better if we could free up some of your cash flow right now? If we said, instead of doing the ad hoc a few $1,000s, what if we said, we're putting in for one of the kids, so middle kid and the 10-year-old, that every month you'll put $350 into each of their funds. I'm just going to make this up, $700 a month. And you're just going to put that in there. See how your cash flow absorbs that, and make no other changes except to say, you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to throw all the money. I'm worried that you guys have pressure right now that could be relieved with a few little nips and tucks right now. I'm not talking about your actual spending. I'm now talking about saving, because what I feel like is this is a short-term problem. In a few years, there's going to be a lot more information. The student loan's probably going to get paid off. You will know more about your older kid. You'll be making a little bit more money every year. So I think ideally what we want is both of you to be maxing out your retirement accounts. But I don't think that's available to you right now. I just don't think that's the reality of your life. If you're willing to work till 70 and then beyond, if we get through the next few years and you don't pile up any more debt and you're paying down debt and you're just existing, I think that's a huge win. And I don't want you, I mean, you might feel like you're in a financial rut, but like this is life.
Well,
But
it's, everybody thinks, you're married to a doctor, you're loaded. And I'm like, you have no idea, like the debt
no,
and the stress, like
I
it's
know,
not,
I know.
I'm not crying, woe is me, believe me, but it's
You
just
can.
like,
I'm listening.
it's a lot, balancing it
It is a
all.
lot. And you know what? I was just talking to somebody about this, a friend of mine who has a kid on the spectrum. And we were discussing about her, she works full time and like the amount of energy she spends when she gets home to be with that kid. I said, you have like, it amounts to like 3 full-time jobs. It's like mom to the other kids. It's mom to the kid who has special needs. And then it's a worker, like you have a job. So there's like 3 full-time jobs. And I'm just wondering if we can try to pull back on some of the stress that you feel, both of you and your husband, and try to give you a little bit of a pass here. You've done a great job. He's paid down a ton of debt. You're on the road. And in a few years, you guys have to start pushing more money into your retirement account. But you know that already. So if from 55 to 70, you're going to be putting away 60 grand a year for 15 years in today's dollars. You'll accumulate that money. You'll pay off the student loan that remains. You'll be continuing to pay down the debt on your mortgage, and you'll live your life, and it will not feel as stressful as it feels right now. I can promise you that. And as long as you're willing to work, I feel okay about it. If you need some financial assistance, if you feel like you're in a rut, if you feel like you're about to make a bad decision or maybe take a big leap in some way, shape, or form, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button, complete the form, and we'll bring you on the air. We'll be right back.
Follow Jill on Twitter and Instagram for more personal finance content. Just use the handle @JillOnMoney. Now, back to the show.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's get to an email from Kimberly, who writes, I love the show. I always say that, Mark. It's terrible. It's like a little self-promotion, but why not? Kimberly just turned 30 and wants a second opinion if she is doing all right. I thought I was in a good position, but retirement calculators have scared me that I'm not saving enough. Okay, let's see what Kimberly's got. She's single. She makes $100,000 a year. She owns a home, a $400,000 home, by the way, with a mortgage of $245,000 at 3%. She's got, my goodness, she's 30 years old. She has $190,000 in her 401k and Roth IRA. $25,000 in HSA with 23 of it invested. I'm cash heavy as I will need a new car soon and doing an online MBA. So she's got 50 grand in CDs, another 50 grand in cash. She put 7% in her 401k with a 4% match, maxing her Roth IRA and her HSA. Is this enough? I don't know what calculators you're looking at, but this is amazing. You're doing a fantastic job. I think the only change that I would make is once you've gotten the new car and the MBA done, what I might do is I might pop my 401k contribution up a little bit. I might go up to 10% if you can afford it. But I presume you can afford it because you have so much money in savings. But you're doing a great job, 30 years old. Mark, can you imagine at 30 years old? She's in fantastic, fantastic shape. Okay, this is from Anonymous. And Anonymous says, I hope you can take a look at our balance sheet and give us your thoughts. This is great. This is amazing. Like, this is an actual balance sheet, ladies and gentlemen. So they've got 10 grand in checking, 25 grand in a taxable brokerage account, but they're good. Okay. So Anonymous is a police officer in New York State. 32 years old, 200 grand this person makes. They'll be able to retire at 48 years old, 25 years of service, and there's going to be a pension. Wife is also 32, works in health services. So Anonymous makes 200, wife makes 100. Listen to this money they've saved. I can't believe these young people. They're amazing. 32 years old. Deferred comp, 100 grand. There's a 457. There's a 401k, 55 grand. And then an annuity fund. Wife's retirement, 105,000. They've got 2 kids. They've got some 529 accounts. They're putting some money in there. They've got a house that's worth $800,000 with a $440,000 mortgage at 3.25%. House has skyrocketed in value. Don't plan on living here forever. May want to scale bigger, maybe build up bigger. You're supposed to downsize as you get older. Monthly expenses, $7,500. They saved every single dollar and dime they made. They have basically been able to essentially save all this money because when their salaries were lower, they lived on what they earned. And now that they're making more money, they save a ton. So if you're asking me, are you on the right track? Oh my gosh, are you ever? Things look fantastic in this scenario. I also imagine that when you have 25 years in of service and you're collecting that pension, that you probably are going to do something else because I imagine that, being under the age of 50 and never working again is impossible to imagine, actually. So I think you're in great shape. You're saving like crazy. The 529s look, you're starting off. It's good. You probably need a little bit more money in those accounts. Anonymous's says the grandparents are going to start gifting also. So I don't think you should be doing anything different. You look remarkably healthy. The balance sheet looks great. And are you saving way too much for retirement? I would probably tilt a little bit more money towards the 529 accounts. So that's how I might shift it a little bit. But depending on whether or not you plan to work after that pension kicks in, you probably are a little bit over saving in retirement, but you're doing great. So I hate to tell you to not save, but I think shifting it a little bit might make sense. Okay, Katie writes, I'm wondering if I can shift to part-time work in a year or so. I'm 55 years old and a full-time teacher. My husband is 54 years old and works for the state. We both have pensions. I have such pension envy. My God. We both have pensions that will total at least $50,000 combined per year with cost of living adjustments. We will also get about $10,000 per year in pensions from our work in a previous state, and we're eligible for Social Security on top of that. So 60 grand plus Social Security. They're 55 and 54. Here's what they have. They've got, oh my goodness, they have an inheritance. So they have an inherited IRA, $775,000, 185 in traditional IRAs, 235,000 in Roths, $785,000 in a brokerage account, 420,000 in retirement accounts. Kids are in college. They've got enough in their 529s to cover the remaining years, and 2 out of 3 of the younger child's remaining years. We own our home outright. We spend $8,000 a month. I mean, do I need to say more? You're fine. The question really is, if my husband plans to keep working full-time until 60, can I downshift to part-time in about a year? Yeah, go crazy. Go crazy. I feel comfortable with this, Katie. I feel like you have only upside for yourself. So yeah, you can slow down and you can just, you know what, gang, when you give me these numbers, like I'm making $60,000 in pension money. I got a couple $1 million that's sucked away. You're in great shape. And maybe even when you start receiving those pensions, you can start converting some of your money into Roth. Not all of it, some of it, because your tax bracket will go down. So that's amazing. Congratulations and good luck. So give us a holler if you need more than that. The Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the hour, let's take an email. This is from Rico, who writes, I bought a home last year with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 5.1%. The house is valued at $729,000 and there's $424,000 remaining on the mortgage. I have $800,000 that's spread across a 401k, a Roth IRA, and a thrift savings plan. I'm 57, divorced, with one child in college and one heading off next year. Tuition is covered. There's no other debt. I earn $250,000 plus $40,000 from a military retirement pension. I plan on retiring in 3 years. Is there any advantage to paying off my mortgage early before retirement? This one is kind of interesting. I have a couple of questions to follow up, Rico. One is, are you claiming itemized deductions or the standard deduction when you file your taxes? The reason I ask that is I have a feeling that you are an itemizer. And if that's the case, then using your money to pay down that mortgage right now may not make the most sense. I certainly wouldn't pull money out of my retirement accounts to do it. And you might want to make some extra payments once you do retire and you assess just how your cash flow looks and what the next group of years will be like in terms of your cash flow. I mean, maybe if you've got a lot of extra money right now, what I would be looking at is beefing up your non-retirement savings, having some money in a brokerage account perhaps. The thing is, when you pay off that mortgage, that liquidity, that access to your money, that's gone. And I think it's really valuable as you enter your retirement years to have cash on hand. I mean, investments, accessible money. That goes for almost everybody, that when you are going into retirement, the idea of paying off a mortgage, it's seductive, but it may not be in your best interest. If you're thinking about doing that, please give us a holler first. Just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome back. It's the Jill on Money Show. We are here answering more of your financial questions. This is an exciting guest all the way from across the pond. It's Penelope. I feel like I just want to break open a scone right now to talk to you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for asking.
Do you love London?
I do love London.
It's so great.
It's almost as good as New York.
You think so? I mean, listen, there's a lot of wonderful things about London. I have a few nitpicks. So what is the thing that you miss living in London about the States?
I miss stores being open 24 hours a day.
Oh, right. Isn't that strange? You can get anything you want when you live in New York, at least. That you could basically get whatever you want whenever you want it, right?
Yes.
In
London, no.
No. Mark's favorite coffee is from London. And Mark, do you want to put a plug in for your coffee?
Monmouth
in Borough Hall. Borough Market.
Really good.
That's good stuff. When I was there, oddly enough, you would think this is crazy, but everyone loves the Tube. I think the Tube sucks. Because
are you crazy?
The Tube sucks.
No, you are so wrong about that. Yeah. Compared to New York City, the Tube blows it out of the water.
Okay, you're wrong, and there are no express trains. There's no such thing as an express train in the London subway system. Number two, yes, I love the Jubilee line. It's brand new. That's great. But those disgusting cloth-covered cars that are on the Circle line, the District line, that's nasty. That's nasty. I find that those wildly deep stations where you have to go up 4 escalators, like you're changing at Tower Hill or something, you want to kill yourself. It takes forever to just get upstairs. So what about you, Penelope? What do you think about the subway?
Jill, when you come, again, you have to take the new Elizabeth line.
I know. I like that. I know the Jubilee and the Elizabeth. Yes. But that
is express. And it is wonderful. It is very, very deep under the ground, but it is an engineering marvel. I prefer the tube in London to the subway in New York every day of the week.
Okay.
They tell you when the trains are coming. They come more frequently. There are other issues with the New York City subways, but I'm just kidding. The tube is a much.
All right. I'm going to let Penelope and Mark win. I'm going to say that Penelope and Mark will win this. I will concede and have my opinions to myself. But I agree that Elizabeth line's gorgeous. And the Jubilee line is good. But I mean, you get stuck on that district line, you could kill yourself. I'm telling you right now. Because I had to commute from Canary Wharf all the way to the CBS bureau. Where was that bureau, Mark? In Chiswick.
Oh,
it was like an hour and 15 minutes. That's when I started listening to Serial in what year was that? 2014.
No, that's too long. Yeah, the real Londoners would take the overground for that. There's no way
but the DLR only does not. Yeah, but it doesn't take you that direction. That's the problem. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I love city airports. So there's my other thing. Penelope, it's been a delight talking to you. Thank you very much. Goodbye. No, what can we do for you?
So I was calling because my parents have an annuity. They're in their 80s, and it's a fixed. I think, and I might get the nomenclature wrong. I think it's a fixed term annuity. So there's a date on which they can get all their money back plus the interest. And I think the person they bought it from probably would want them to roll it into another annuity, and then the taxes get deferred.
Yeah.
I was wondering what other options there might be because.
You're not like, I'm not doing that again, is what you're saying.
I think that having the money wrapped up for 5 years is a really long time. And, they happen to have purchased this annuity when interest rates were low. And obviously now interest rates are high. And I'm like, you could just, you get stuck in this product for a really long period of time. I don't see the upside.
Tell me about your parents. How are they surviving in terms of income? Do they collect Social Security or pensions?
They have both Social Security and pensions, and they don't need this money.
So that supports them. Okay. How much money is in the annuity?
They in the one coming due soon, $500,000.
Wow. What else do they have in their financial lives besides this $500,000 that's coming due?
They also have a brokerage account. They have.
How much is in there?
I don't know, maybe 300,000.
Look at you, 300. Very nonchalant of you. Okay.
And they have cash, I'm sure, probably another 100, 200,000. And then they have real estate.
Like what? Rental or primary?
Yeah, they have rental. They have rental real estate.
What do you and that's creating income also.
So that's creating income. And that's one of the big issues is because if their income goes over 150,000, they can't take the losses on their rental income.
Oh.
So that's one of the reasons they don't like to get more income.
I got you.
Or realize income. You understand?
Right.
That's why one of the tax deferring aspects of it is very favorable to them because then they can keep their income under 150,000.
Okay. All right. That's not the worst thing in the world. Now, let me ask you another question. They're in their 80s. Are they completely self-sufficient, living on their own? Do they need help? Like, what else is going on?
I think that they're going to need help. They're going to need help. But at this point, they get by with people in the family helping them.
Okay. And you're not, so you're calling on their behalf. You have siblings?
I do.
And are they in good shape? Like give me a little bit of like the broad brush about them.
Oh, the broad brush is, I think everybody's in good shape. My parents would like to perhaps give money or buy property for some grandchildren.
Oh my. Jeez.
Yeah, so the children they don't need to worry about.
Okay.
So they're thinking to the grandchildren because it's that generation. I don't know what it is. Generation Z. I don't know.
That they'll never be able to buy a house.
That can't buy houses, and so I think in their dreams, if they could, give people down payments, buy houses, that's what they would probably want to do with the money.
Okay. So they're really not using any of this money because their Social Security, the pensions, and the rental income all float their lifestyle. They might need to dig into some of this money coming in the next group of years just because they're getting older and might need some help. But other than that, it sounds like they're in very good financial shape, right?
Yes, okay. Definitely.
So is there an agent with whom your parents have been dealing on this annuity product?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things that I might ask this person is, because now it's funny, there's like a little wrinkle because of the idea around their taxation. So the interesting part of that is that, like, if they really do want to continue to defer their income, I would ask the agent, well, we think, and I think you have to frame it this way, we think we might need this money. We're worried about tying up this money in another product. We'll get back to Penelope in just a second. It's the Jill on Money Show.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
Welcome back. It's Jill on Money. Let's get back to Penelope. So there's a couple of choices. One is you could say, hey, what's the shortest term we could do? The other is, could we annuitize this contract that's coming due and then keep getting that fixed amount and keeping, in other words, trying to keep the annuitization schedule to an amount that will keep them under that $150,000. I don't know if you're going to be able to, because I don't know how much other income they have, but at least it's worth considering. And then I guess the last question would be, could your parents swallow having 1 year where they don't get to have a deduction on that rental income? We just don't get it. You pull the money out of this annuity contract, you pay the tax that's due. It's going to hurt. They're going to hate it, but you have the access to the money. Do you think you can sell them on that? Because there is an actual estate planning benefit to doing that.
Which is?
Well, they pay the tax on behalf of the heirs. Because if you guys inherit the annuity, it's going to be taxed at whatever your tax bracket is at the time. So one way you could just say is like, hey, one easy thing to do would be, Mom and Dad, is that we think about you guys paying this tax on behalf of the heirs, the kids and the grandkids. And then you also have this money available to you where you can gift. You don't want them to gift out of the brokerage account necessarily, because that would like sop up all their liquidity. But if there were 800,000, let's pretend it's not 800. If there were 700,000 in that account, because we've taken the annuity out, we've paid the tax that's due, and then we can start with a real methodical gifting strategy. That might be something that your parents might sign on to. It's just hard to make that case if they're going to be so hyper-focused at that 150,000. You have to kind of say, well, okay, you can do that 150,000 thing. We're going to tie this money up again, but you don't have the money then to gift to the grandkids. If you want that money, there's two things that can happen. You can pay the tax that's due. They'll be like, yeah, sure, we would like to do that because we're magnanimous. And you can say, then we have this chunk of money, and now we can really talk about a strategy, not an ad hoc strategy, a real strategy. How many grandchildren are there?
6.
Are they all like now grown-ish?
Half are grown, half are not grown.
I mean, are your parents the types who are like, everything's equal? That's the deal.
No.
Oh, I love that.
No, I don't think it's that, but I will, sorry to just bring up another wrinkle.
Do it.
What happened before when their income went up is that they had to pay IRMA.
I know. They're going to cry about it.
Made them crazy.
I know.
It made them really crazy. So, between that and the rental income deduction, I feel that that's like, that's
a bridge too far.
it's just, I mean, I don't know what the sum is, but it ends up being like $25,000-$50,000 that they're like,
they're not going to deal with it. The Irma,
it's too much money. It's
just
too much
to
money.
be clear, the Irma, we just interviewed Ed Slott this week. The Irma thing, he even talked about it because people go completely bananas. Irma, the total part of Irma, by the way, that they would have to pay is an extra $6,000. But doesn't matter. It'll drive them crazy. It'll just drive them absolutely nuts. I know, it's batty. So let's think about that. So what are our options? I think we have to work with the actual agent and explain the situation and say, look, we're really worried about this. We might need access to the money. My parents might need more care. What can we do? Is there a way to just do an annuity that's 1 year or 2 years, or should we annuitize it? Should we take a little bit of money out? Once it comes due, if you have that money just sitting, it'll basically be in a money market account inside of an annuity still. Can you just pull money out and make sure that you stay in a tax bracket that's reasonable to them? And so, I mean, what's the Social Security and pension amount plus the rental income? And then that leaves some little bit of money. And then maybe you take just as much out as you need until 150. And that's it. And that's what you're stuck with. And you keep the money liquid. Or what is the shortest term annuity that we could go into because I think it's 5 years. I don't think that there's a shorter term, but maybe there is. We need answers from the folks on the ground, because it's just giving your parents total freak out about having too much money come out doesn't give us a ton of options.
Thank you for being honest with me, because I hope that I wasn't reading this the wrong way. No. And I think that you people who really don't like paying taxes. And I know. I would put my parents in that category. They rather have the money locked up. Okay. And even though they understand, and I understood, and one of my siblings is definitely highest rate taxpayer that you could be. I'm like, if she gets the money, she's going to be paying so much more tax than anybody that you can imagine. It makes absolutely no sense for her to get this money eventually. But I think that it feels that they're already on this train, and I feel that they probably may not get off it.
All right. Well, so be it. You know what? Yeah. Honestly, and that is what it is. So the last question I have is, have they done their estate planning?
No.
Okay. Now let's talk about what you can actually do and really hustle with them. You are going to put in the fear of God about their estate planning, because what you're going to say is, you have no idea, mom and dad, how bad this is going to be if you guys don't get some documents in place, because we don't know where the house is going to go. And if you don't want to treat every single, all of us exactly equally, or you want to make specific gifts to some of the grandkids or bequests, you better put that down on paper. Also, by the way, do you want us to pull the plug or not? Those are the big questions. We got to get them doing their planning.
I'm just going to ask one little question, because I know that this is something you talk about all the time. I mean, so I'm going to call them superstitious,
poo-poo. I don't want to talk about it.
I know we have talked about it because we've had other estates in the family that have, taken up a lot of time, litigation. We're like, the only person who gets rich in this is the lawyer.
Yep.
And they don't seem to care.
Well, I mean, you got to try one, a little bit. Maybe we'll play this back for them. What you have to try to appeal to them in having the conversation is just to say, don't you want your wishes known? All we want to do is honor your wishes. You have to let us know. I think how do they respond to guilt?
Not very much.
Oh God, they're not Jewish parents. They're not Italian parents. No. What happened here? What?
Indeed. What they say is the state has rules for who gets our money, and I'm okay with what the state says.
Okay. I mean, what am I going to do about that? Mark, I don't know what to say to that.
I think I know why Penelope is living in London.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on here. We won't dive into that, Penelope. You know what? If you've tried, you've given it your best effort. If they know how bad it can be, and by the way, it's someone's hot mess to clean up. Penelope, do not be the executor. Do not be the executor. I'm telling you right now, it's a pain in the ass.
But you have to, somebody has
let
to
somebody
do it.
in the U.S. do it. Whoever lives in their state, wherever they live, like their state of residence, they have to do it. You cannot do it from abroad. It's a pain in the ass.
Okay.
Don't do it. Just like take yourself off, get your rich sister who's, in the high tax bracket, let her do it. She's going to pull her hair out of her head. Just telling you that right now. I don't know. Penelope's parents, come on now. It's very, I have to say, I wrote this in my book, in my first book. I feel like not doing estate planning is kind of selfish. Not that I'm calling your parents selfish. I said they're acting selfishly because it is a pain in the neck to deal with this on the other end. But, they are who they are, and they're going to buy that goddamn annuity, and they're going to have no estate documents. And so poo to that. By the way, if you can ask them one thing about that brokerage account, just because it could be easier, is to see if that brokerage account can be labeled as a transfer on death account.
Okay, will do.
That's one little extra thing you can do. Give it a shot.
Thank you very much. That's a good point.
All right, one thing they'll do, Mark. Okay, Penelope, go get your coffee, have your scone, have your clotted cream, have a nice ride on your tube, and thank you so much for getting in touch with us. The Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and time is a-ticking. Getting ready and getting close to our next live webinar. It's with Cal Newport. He is a best-selling author. His new book is called Slow Productivity, The Lost Art of Accomplishment Without Burnout. It's in just a few days on March 19th. You must be part of Jill on Money Live to be able to participate. Check it out on our website. It only costs $35 for a full year. You'll get the Cal webinar, 3 additional webinars, and of course the back catalog of great stuff we've done, as well as a bunch of video content. So do check it out. $35. It's a bargain. Hey, let's get to an email. This is from Victoria. Ready for the subject, gang? Help me clean up my act. All right. What do I do with an IRA that had $17,000 of rolled over traditional 401k from an old employer in 2011, with which I also added post-tax contributions? No. I was in nursing school. I didn't have access to retirement plan. I just forgot about it. I have not touched this since. The balance is $100,000, stocks, mutual funds, ETFs. It's held at a large wirehouse. Because of the post and pre-tax mix, what are my options to clean it up? Move it somewhere or leave it alone? I currently contribute to a 4% traditional, 6% Roth at my employer plan, which has about $230,000 balance. 2/3 is pre-tax. Husband and I are 43 years old in New Jersey, 3 kids, 9, 7, 5. He's got a traditional 401k with $550,000 at Fidelity. He contributes 10% of his pay. We make about $225,000 annually. That's gross. $40,000 in brokerage accounts, some Roth IRAs, building up our $20,000 in high yield emergency savings, paying off car loan, HELOC, mortgage at 2.8%. Wow. All right, let's think about this. Can we make a case that is defendable to the IRS? That's all I'm thinking about here. So if we take the $17,000 and then you have your post-tax contributions of $13,000, let's even pretend that you literally will say, as if you put in $1,300 a year times 9 and make that like your basis as your post-tax. Really, what I would try to do is this thing is now worth $100,000. The lion's share of this, I am sorry to tell you, is obviously attributable to the old 401k. Because you put the money into the post-tax from 2011 to 2019. I would go into look at a calculator and say, what would happen if you said $11,700. You could do it even as a $1,300 a year. Just make two separate calculations, which would be $1,300 a year for 9 years invested in a blended portfolio, which you could look up what the look up like what the Vanguard balance portfolio did from 2011 to 2019 and attribute that to the post-tax. Then what you could do, and I don't know if you're going to really get away with this, but if this retirement account at Merrill Lynch, if they will allow you to do so, if you've got other accounts, you can say, well, I want to move my post-tax into a post-tax IRA and clean it up. The alternative is to say, oh, well, I screwed it up. Even though it was post-tax, I'm just going to roll the whole thing over and be done with it. And I would at least try to make this case and see if the folks at Merrill Lynch will help you out. I hope that helps. Oh, and Anonymous, the Anonymous family, very popular here on the show. My husband's ready to retire, will be ready to retire in a year. He'll be age 62. We plan to sell our family home, and it's worth $1.3 million. We will relocate to Texas to be near family. We have a total of $868,000 in a pre-tax 401k. That's combined, $33,000 in brokerage, $90,000 in the bank. They owe... Remember, we got a $1.3 million house, $126,000 on a first mortgage, $67,000 on a second. All right, so they got $200,000. Let's just call it that. So they'll of the 1.3, 1.1 after we pay off the mortgages, and now we go on. I'm a recent listener, and I just read your book, The Great Money Reset. Oh, thank you so much, Ann Anonymous. I'm 64 years young and retired from my career at age 48. I opted to take Social Security at age 62 after listening to another program. Mark, should I just not say the name? I think it's probably better. Listening to another financial program. I will just tell all of you guys that the many financial programs do emphasize taking Social Security at 62, even though it is the dumbest freaking advice and it drives me insane. Okay. If you are not able to pay your bills at age 62, of course you have to take Social Security. If you have a very short life expectancy, you take it at 62. But otherwise, no, you wait till your full retirement age. Anyway, Ann Anonymous says she discovered this was probably the wrong thing to do. Since we plan to sell our home and purchase in cash in Texas, I'm concerned about a couple things: taxes, capital gains on our home. So they bought it for $274,000, and now it's worth $1.3. So remember, you get to count not just what you paid for it, but you would actually have to add to that cost basis whatever you put into it, not decorating, but real things. And if you bought it in 2002, my guess is 2 decades later, you probably put some money into the house. So you try to raise that cost basis. Then remember, you're married, you get to exclude $500,000 of your capital gains. And then, yeah, you have to pay taxes, but it's a capital gains. It's not, it is not actually going to be a problem for you guys. You'll pay the tax that's due out of the proceeds. Okay. Husband's going to have 2 pensions from 2 different unions. After doing the numbers, I did various scenarios, withdrawing from 401k to offset postponing to Social Security. And I want to be sure we have enough money to last our lifetime. I estimate we need $5,800 a month in living expenses. So this looks fine. So first of all, when you sell this house, okay, what you really need to make sure is that you've accounted for all the money you put in, get a sense of what your tax liability is going to be, and you'll pay that. You'll pay it. That's it. Okay. It's not going to be a big deal. You'll pay it. You've got money. It sounds to me that because you've got 2 pensions and your Social Security, and he'll probably take his Social Security at 67, whatever. I think that it sounds to me like you're probably going to get close to your $5,800 a month in living expenses, but you didn't tell me what the pension amounts are. So that would be important information. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
Follow Jill on Twitter and Instagram for more personal finance content. Just use the handle @JillOnMoney. Now, back to the show.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's take an email from Anonymous, who essentially is asking about how to gift money to her adult son. My son will be 25 this year, and he has accomplished a lot. He's got a graduate degree from a great school, 2 years at a startup, $100,000 in investments and savings. He started a sabbatical at age 25. Okay, whatever. That's me. He has started a sabbatical, maybe a permanent thing, to focus on creative pursuits. I'm not supporting him financially. He pays all of his own bills. He pays me every month for his portion of my employer's health insurance premium, which, by the way, is only lasting until he's 26 anyway. But I worry he's losing out on a 401k or an IRA since he has no income right now. I want to make sure he maxes out his annual IRA, so I would like to contribute the max. But I want to do it in a way that doesn't affect my regular savings and investment goals. What I'd like to do is use my company RSUs and gift them to him directly to his IRA. Okay, Anonymous. First of all, thank you, Mark. He needs to have earned income to make a contribution to a retirement account. Now, if you'd like to just gift him your RSUs from your large, well-known company and directly gift it to him, that's fine. You can do that. But I would also offer a little bit of guidance here, which is this is his choice. I'm not exactly sure where we have lost the thread on this, but I just wrote about this on the website, on our blog, about financial interdependence, because there's that Pew Research poll that found so much money that is going to the younger generation. I mean, look, maybe Anonymous has tons of money and she's happy to give him this money, but like, isn't this his choice to live the creative life? I do think it kind of depends on, like who your kids are, what's going on in your own life. I do get that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't help your kids out. We talk to people all the time who help their kids out. The question is whether Anonymous can afford to do it. And if she can't afford to do it, should she? There's the battle right there.
I would say he's got about 4 years to really figure it out.
Yeah, I like giving him a time-bound experiment also. I think you're right. That's good. Okay. This is from Kay, 65 years old, still working and plan to work till age 70. I have emergency reserve funds, $42,000, and I have $1.5 million in my 401k. I own a house that's worth, at the low end, $1.5 million with a mortgage balance of wait a second. I'm sorry, I got caught on the next part. With a mortgage balance of $600,000 at 2.5%. I had student loans. Parent plus loans. I think she still has. Student loans, which are parent plus loans, of $120,000. Yowza. Going to need a car soon, waiting till my old one dies. Oh my God, very soon perhaps, because my mileage is 300,000. I will need to repair my house, 4 bathrooms that are leaky, which should cost about $100,000 in renovations. My only source of money is that 401k. Should I borrow from my 401k that will charge me 9% interest? Should I get a home equity loan? Can you take an in-service withdrawal? Can you take that? Some plans allow you, once you're over 59 and a half, to take an in-service withdrawal of your 401k, and then you would just pay tax on whatever you pull out. I think that you have to kind of tier this in terms of your needs, but first of all, do not put any more money into your retirement account above whatever your matching contribution is. Funnel everything into your emergency reserves, and then maybe find out if you can take some money out of the retirement account a little bit at a time, maybe 25,000 now, and do one. I don't know. Do you have to do 4 bathrooms at once? I wouldn't do a home equity line of credit. If you can't take money out of the 401k, I guess you could borrow from the 401k. So,
and if for some reason she's like maxing out the 401k and doing the catch up for being over 50, like stop that and just use that cash.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. Sean is a huge fan. He writes, let me read it verbatim. I am a huge fan of you and Mark. See that, Mark? I listen to your show every morning on my long commute to work on the West Coast. I have a question for you regarding the number of funds one should own in a brokerage account. I have a Betterment account, and they have 29 exchange traded funds in the account. I know that you are a supporter of the platform. Is 29 an overkill? I hear you and Mark suggest just a few funds to avoid overlap. I really like the low cost fees, the tax loss harvesting in this account. Thank you, Sean. 29 does seem like a lot, Mark, doesn't it? I mean, I guess they are low cost, and Betterment has the robo platform, and they are probably divvying it up in that way simply for maybe for ease of the tax loss harvesting, or maybe to make it hard to leave. Because we have heard from people that it's hard to close a brokerage account at Betterment and transfer the funds, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I read this, it just bums me out because
it bums me out. We loved them.
There's no reason whatsoever why you should have 29 ETFs. Absolutely no reason.
Yeah. So, okay. So I think that this is something that I would look into. I also think, I mean, if it's not, it kind of bums me out, but on the other hand, if it's not like net, if it's not costing you too much money and you like this platform and you like the tax loss harvesting, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. I just feel like, hey, someone from Betterment, how about you give us a holler and tell us why you need 29 funds?
You can chop off about 20 of those funds, and that's still probably too much.
It's fine. Yeah, exactly. If you have a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the program, let's do an email. This is from Cheryl, who writes, my husband is in a nursing home. Everything we saved for years is going for his care. A lot of people like us didn't know we had to pay for all of the nursing home costs. Is there anything we can do? Right now, we have too much money for Medicaid, and we're paying $10,222 a month. My husband is 78 years old. Oh, Cheryl, I am so sorry. This is a terrible situation. In fact, this is very prevalent in the people who make too much money to qualify for Medicaid, but don't have enough money to self-insure. And obviously, it's too late to go back and wind back the clock and say, oh, let's get some sort of long-term care coverage. What might be helpful is if you follow up with us and let us know how much money you actually have, whether it's investments, retirement accounts, and also I'd be interested in learning about how much equity you have in your home and whether you would want to stay there as long as possible. Those assets are really going to be necessary to make a decision going forward. And until you have that information, I wouldn't want to try to advise you to do one thing versus something else. We'd love to help you out. So please do follow up with us so that we can hopefully give you some different options. You know, gang, look, this is the real critical issue. As people get older, we live longer. Sometimes we need help. Sometimes we don't need help. To insure ourselves can be awfully tough on the cash flow, but I really think if you've got a situation where you find yourself in, say, $500,000 in assets up to, let's call it $1.5 million or $2 million, you are the kind of people who should get in touch with us, and let's talk about whether long-term care of some sort might be necessary for you. Well, I hate to end the show on a downbeat note, but that is the program. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer, and Webb King. We would like to remind you to lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.